justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you for the beautiful weather you gave us for the 4th, and allowing us to be able to get together with family and friends. Dear Lord, be with us as we come together to do the best for the county that we can do. Watch over those that need you, dear Lord. And just watch all of us. I ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you. Consent agenda is on the board. It's been published. Any questions? Motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. And just a comment, that time extension for SEMO, that is not new money. It's just money that they needed more time to get their programs going. So we've extended the time for it. It's the same money that's already been allocated. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, I think we have a report. Come on up. I often show antique pictures when Kendra is giving a report. That is not equating Kendra to an antique.
Oh, man.
But I know what it is. I'm a super.
That's a
fan.
farm owl.
Right?
No H, yeah.
There's
No
an
H.
H.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have one of those. We don't use it in the hayfield.
Yeah. Didn't have an air conditioner for one thing.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. My name's Kendra Graham. I'm the Extension Engagement Specialist for St. Francis County. I'm going to introduce Janet Braun. She's our 4-H specialist. She's going to talk to you about activities this summer for kids. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm the 4-H specialist, and Casey Amston is the YPA that covers the county. She has been extremely busy this spring and summer. I can kind of go down a list a little bit here that you all have. The 4-H Feeding Missouri, we do a food drive, and they worked and collected 2,000 pounds of food and meals. There was 70 hours of volunteer hours that they did along with this program. She has done quite a bit in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, math, in case you needed to know. They've done project meetings. She is currently serving on a grant program that's statewide, that they're working on implementing some STEM programs for underserved audiences. And that's actually quite an honor, because normally YPAs do not serve on these grant committees. It's normally a specialist, and they select her to do that. She's done digital art project meetings. She worked with Alyssa Bauer, our NPA, doing Eating from the Garden at a preschool, working with the teachers and the volunteers there. They have planted gardens. I believe they planted a garden there. They also did a garden at the Family Violence Center. She had over 100 exhibits. There were 100 exhibits at the health fair, and we were one of those, thanks to Casey and Alyssa. Our livestock has increased this year, the Prospect Show, the Heifer Show. She's been part of all of that. This was our first year having campers from St. Francis County. We went to Peaceful Valley and St. Mary, along with St. Genevieve, St. Francis, and Perry County. She's doing the dog project area. One more thing on my mind, and my train dropped the track. But she has been very good. Oh, the fair's coming up. That's where it was. We have our fair coming up in a couple of weeks, so we've been really busy getting ready for that. Committee meetings, just getting things set up, getting exhibits ready. So hope everybody comes out to the fair and supports the kids and comes and looks at everything that they have in the exhibit hall.
Any questions for Janet? And if anybody wants our 3-page report, you're welcome to it. I wanted to just point out 2 things. I'm not going to read off the report. We do have a 100-mile, 100-day program, and I talked about that not too long ago. But we do have a event. It started in June, but we do have an event happening July 21st at Owl Creek Park. And so at 8 o'clock, if you want to come out there, we're going to have our horticulture specialist, Katie Kamler, come. And along with the walking, she's going to talk about the native plants that they have on display out there. and have done such a great job of propagating. So you can also walk, exercise, and learn about some of the native plants. The last thing I wanted to talk about is some events that conspired or happened last week, late last week, was the federal government signed their bill for the budget. The one thing that was not included, one of the one things that weren't included in the budget was funding for SNAP education. And that affects our nutrition education program. Alyssa is our nutrition program associate in the county, also covers St. Genevieve. That funding is totally gone. And so some changes will happen with that. We are still looking into what we can do with that education, but as of right now, there are no monies to employ those people to go into the schools, to do the community gardens and so forth. So this is not just Missouri, not just this county, it's happening nationwide. And so all of those SNAP education programs are gone as of the end of August. Just wanted to make you guys aware. We are looking into other things, but money doesn't grow on trees. So any questions you guys have? I know we're...
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Alyssa, is that the one where she teaches the kids, they prep the food for so
Yes.
that's a pretty big program being lost then?
Yes.
I can say, I taught kindergarten for 28 years before I took this job, and the NPA would come into my classroom, and it was an excellent program. She would bring literature for the kids, she taught about nutrition, the food groups, things that I didn't necessarily touch on in my classroom, and it was always great to have somebody new come in, and they just couldn't wait for her to come in. She got them to try food that they would have never tried before, and I heard from parents saying, where do I buy kiwi, because now my kid wants kiwi. And so it was a very successful program, and it's quite sad that they did not include that in their budget. I don't think they realized the long-range impact that this will have on our youth.
Andrew, how much money were you talking about that you received for the program?
I know it was like, I'm not gonna say numbers, cause it was allocated throughout all of the states, and I think there was like 31 states that, received the federal monies, and I think it was somewhere in the ballpark of 800 million, for the federal program.
For your areas?
No, just,
I know,
for the
but how
SNAP,
much?
for
How-
state, nationwide, it was an 800 million cut out of the budget.
So how much do you receive specifically for St. Francis County?
I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I know Missouri is one of the top 5 that receive that funding, federal funding. We do a lot. We have a good infrastructure, able to house those people in local extension offices. Support that program. I know, just so you know, Alyssa has a report from April, May, and June, and she reached over almost 3,200 people, adults and kids, in that timeframe.
How many, are there jobs, individual jobs that will be lost with about how many?
So we are really close to having one nutrition program associate in each county. And so we're looking at losing all of those because they were part of that federal grant. Now, some of them may be partially funded through a different nutrition program, but most of those are from those federal monies. And then that also takes into account some of our nutrition specialists that do more of your technical like canning workshops and so forth. Some of their funding was part of that grant too.
Well, then I wanted to speak up, being on the board there. I go to the last Tuesday every month. These people work. I mean, not only do they work during the day, you do a lot of night work, they prepare, and they're very energetic. They're out there working all the time. I hate to see Alyssa. I hate to see this go, because I know she works with the kids a lot.
Well, we hope we can do something to keep her.
Okay.
She's extremely valuable. Very good at what she does.
Yes. Thank you.
David's squirming, so we need to move on.
David, do what?
No, I appreciate you guys, thank you.
Okay, we have a bid approved. Jason?
Jason with the maintenance department, and we're asking you to approve bid for carpet one for $12,202 for the new floors for the commission room and the commission office.
Is that installed?
That's installed.
All the
That's
labor.
Everything, new
Moving
trim.
furniture? Moving furniture?
No, I think we're gonna move the furniture.
Okay.
Will be the only thing. It's new base, they're gonna take the base up, put new base down in here and in your offices and stuff.
Okay.
I got a question for you. Is that lower than the bid that came in a couple weeks ago?
I'm not sure what.
They wanted $20,000 for it.
I'm not sure on that. I just got the bids that was in. On that. $12,202,
Was that the only bid we had?
I believe so.
It was.
And from Flooring Systems? Which one was it?
Flooring, carpet one.
Carpet one, I'm sorry.
Okay, and what about the choice of the floor?
It was picked out, it's the tiles,
Who picked it out? Brian?
I guess Brian did.
Okay.
Close to what matches the
Okay.
interiors in here. So,
Not pink plaid or anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It only in your office.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's natural elements, 28 element, premium luxury vinyl, glue down plank. With a 20-year manufacturer's warranty.
But wait,
But what there's more, chambers color to be natural oak, and the office to be driftwood.
Okay, good. So I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for Capital One, and for $12,202.
I'll second that. Now, this is basically saying what they put down the rest of them.
Yes.
Okay, we're the only one left.
You're the only ones left.
Okay.
and this is a 2006 building, so there's no chance of asbestos or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Okay, any comments, questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Brandon.
Okay, eliminate vacant positions.
Wait a minute, you have one more. What about the?
We have what?
Oh, doors.
Oh, yeah.
We're asking that you guys approve the doors from Ron's Glass Company for $10,785.38 for be 3 new morgue doors over the morgue.
Okay, the cooler doors and another door.
And yes, there's one more that's an oversized door that they're replacing its original
Let's
doors.
go from the hallway into the.
Yes.
Okay.
10,785. 30.
Is that installed?
That's installed, all the labor, all the weather stripping and automatic door sweeps on the bottom of it.
Okay. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the installation of doors at the morgue for $10,785. How many doors is?
It will be,
All oversized.
3 of them.
3.
They're all oversized.
Now, I will say, are these on the cooler doors too?
Yes.
Okay, because the
That's
cooler
just-
doors, we're having a problem with them,
Yes.
and they're pretty old. Yeah.
Okay.
And who was the bid?
Ron's Glass Company.
Ron's Glass.
Bronze glass.
Okay.
Four Ron's Glass.
I got a motion, second.
Yeah, second.
Question, Chesley.
From whose budget?
It was in our budget.
Maintenance? And the flooring as well?
I assume.
Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Now we got to eliminate vacant positions. Our record shows we have 17 positions that are not filled, haven't been filled, most of them, for some time, and that's budgeted money. Now, it's not being spent, so we'd rather, if we close these items down, then we can use that money in other budget items. Now, if an office holder does want to create a job or has need for other help, they can come to us and talk to us about HR, and we probably do that. If they have a valid reason, that's fine. But we just want to, basically, this just moves the money around in the budget. Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve to eliminate positions on the budget within the office's personnel.
Second?
I do want to ask a couple questions though. The TDL that is being reimbursed by TDL, are those positions getting?
That'll probably be filled at the first of the year.
Right, and they get reimbursed, so we talking about just the ones that money comes through us, or the ones that get reimbursed? There's another one too, and I can't remember what the, is it with you, Sheriff? Is there another one that gets, and there's a state employee on there also, I think.
These are all county.
All county?
These are all county. My records show 19.
That's what I was wondering 19, and Harold said 17.
Yeah, the grant position, the grant, and then the one with the grant.
That's in juvenile,
That's juvenile, so, but it's reimbursed with
but
the
it is
grant.
grant, yes.
And I got a point about this too. So on mine, I've got one legal secretary, which we're filling in now, we've been interviewing, and so we're about to start interviews, that's the essential one that has to be filled. The part-time one is a position that we were going to probably remove ourselves from, and we're going to try and allocate those funds to another project, and we have an employee project, which I think I talked to two of you about the other day. So I'm not sure if you're moving from this, and number one, I can't stop the interview process, I have to have that one position filled. It's only been vacant for 3 weeks. So, I mean, it's not one that's been sitting there for a while, vacant for 3 weeks, that one's still gotta be filled. But the part-time one, we'll probably go ahead and agree to that later on, after I talk about the other project I got, that I was gonna use that fund for.
Is he hiring for that one now?
He has posted for interview, but that, you don't have to make that decision there, you can make that decision. Since he wants that filled.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can take this under
Yes.
advisement.
Hey,
Well,
yeah.
We do.
He come in last week and talked to us on this, yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
I
we
think-
still need those under
Second for
advisement.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say we need to talk about that, and then we'll come back.
Okay,
Come back.
that's fine.
All right, so we'll just
I
move
wanna-
this along.
I am getting ready to start interviewing as well. I have 2 girls that's gonna be retiring. It's a lot of knowledge that I'm gonna be losing. And so I have to get people in, getting them trained underneath them and under my supervisor, my chief deputy.
Okay. Well, we're just gonna
Okay.
table this, for not table, but put it under advisement. And so we'll come back to this some other time.
So the underlying motion you're gonna table,
Yeah, you wanna put it under advisement?
are you wanting to?
Yeah, I'll
because you- in your
withdraw the
motion-
motion. Yeah.
In your motion, you said that if, or at least you described it, that office holders can appeal to you about the filling.
And he also needing to hire another
But,
employee. so that
but
was-
we've already taken that under advisement, so the motion is dead.
Okay,
He withdrew his motion.
so they don't have to come to you because you didn't make them.
Right now, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
we're not eliminating it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Amber, you wanna talk about the audit, or Louis?
Louis, give us a wait.
Commissioners, as dictated by Missouri State statutes, the Auditor's Office officially presents to you the annual independent audit as performed by Mueller, Oberfell, and Jones Certified Public Accountants of Arnold, Missouri. There are 2 critical times of the calendar year in the Auditor's Office. One is the preparation of the future budget, which begins tomorrow, as a matter of fact, right after this meeting, as a matter of fact. And the other is a presentation of an independent audit for the previous year. This report verifies and confirms that the Auditor's Office validates legitimate expenses in the bidding process. This is just like balancing your personal checkbook, and we take this entire process seriously as it impacts the future federal and state funding and grants. We appreciate the assistance of department heads and office holders in answering inquiries from the outside auditors as they perform their 3-month report. I'm proud of the work of the 4 ladies in the auditor's office to protect the integrity of the county and the current $54 million budget led by audit manager. I present Amber Mongelet for specific details concerning this report and then ask for your adoption of the 2024 St. Francis County Independent Audit.
Thank you.
These are yours to keep.
By the way, the commission received a copy of this audit.
Oh, a couple weeks ago for review as the draft. This is the final, which is, there were no changes from the draft.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. That's the last page of this, by the way. Opposed to it.
So as Louis said, yes, this is our independent audit as of 12/31/2024. The firm that was previously Daniel Jones and Associates is now Mueller, Obergefell and Jones, which brings in new eyes, new management, and more staff. Core purpose of an independent audit is to provide an unbiased and objective evaluation of an organization's financial statements. To ensure this firm is independent, the auditor's office compiles these financial statements. The audit includes examination of financial records, budgets, receipts, purchases, journal entries, payroll. It's an assessment of our internal controls and compliance with not only accounting standards, but policies and statutes. When federal expenditures are more than $750,000, a single audit is required as a part of the independent audit, and this is a thorough examination of federal expenditures. I am happy to say that this threshold will increase to $1 million for our next fiscal year's audit. So for St. Francis County, as of 12/31/2024, total assets were $17,425,658.
What's total assets mean? Is that cash?
So that's our, yes, that is our ending fund balance. The
Nothing to do
total
with
cash.
buildings or property or anything like that?
Well, that's coming next.
Okay.
So a breakdown of how that money is allocated is on page 25 of the audit. It breaks it down as far as how much of that is restricted, committed, and considered unassigned. So restricted balance is $10,584,371. So this is gonna be the money that is restricted by statute or legislation, as what we can and cannot spend at home. Committed as funds that are turned over, that we hold for others. And then unassigned is $6,838,001. So total revenue is $32,832,549. Total expenditures were $33,019,352. This is a net change in fund balance of a negative $186,803. That means we spent $186,000 more than what we got in. So we had to dip into cash reserves, which were available, but we are trending to be spending more than what is coming in, so be advised of that. So you mentioned funds we hold for others. These are called fiduciary funds, and that balance as of 12/31 was $43,578,010. So these are considered custodial funds. So we hold these monies for other entities, organizations, or governmental facilities. So this is gonna be your collector of revenue funds, your circuit court, and then the money we hold to turn over for like the ambulance district, developmentally disabled board, road district number 2, and so on. Total revenue for the fiduciary funds was $55,347,420. Total expenses of $58,063,773. This is a net change of a negative $2,716,353. This is due to timing. We only turn over what we collect. So what happened is last year we had money that we had collected that yet hadn't been turned over at the end of the year that got turned over this year in '24. So it makes it look like we turned over more than what we got, but we really didn't.
So in 2 years, you have kind of a zero difference?
Yes, so most of those do net out within the same period, but there are some that, depending on when turnover is done, especially for like the collector's office, it's collected in 1 month and turned over in the next. So that's gonna be your big difference. As of 12/31, there were no state findings for the year. On page 46 is our CFA, which is the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards. This is prepared by your grant coordinator, Bridget. The details of all federal grant expenditures for the year ending 2021 totaled $3,136,786. This does not include non-federal grant money, so state grants. And that total is $395,770. So total grant expenses of $3,532,556. So as you heard me say earlier, if we have over 750,000, next year it'll be $1 million, we have to have that single audit portion. And this is going to be your very thorough detail of all federal expenditures for all the same compliance standards of our standard audit. There were no financial statement findings noted, and there were no federal award findings and question costs noted for 12/31. This will be found on page 50. This will be the 6th consecutive year without any findings, starting in 2019. So I would like to take the time to reiterate how important internal controls are for our audit. Internal controls do not prevent fraud, but they do minimize the possibility of fraud and error. And that is what the auditor's office does to help ensure that we have a financial statement with no findings. And it wouldn't be possible without the staff in the auditor's office, your grant coordinator, and all of you office holders who work with us and the independent auditors, and we'd like to thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
I got a question. You said we were, we had negative cash flow of around 186,000. That was the last year's budget. At the end of last year, that's when our revenue was actually increasing for our sales tax.
Correct. So what that means is essentially we overspend off of what was coming in. So some of that is due to timing because we are a modified cash basis. So we have to account for the accruals at the end of the year and back out accounts payable.
And when we did our budget for the current year, do you know what the projected revenue growth to be?
I do not off the top of my
At
head.
this point.
Okay.
Not at this point.
I don't have the actual figures for the 2025 budget.
Well, if I recall, it was somewhere around 2%, and we're actually down about 2%. And if we had negative cash flow last year of 180,000, that's where we got to. I mean, I know earlier they were talking about freezing positions and stuff, and I don't. But if our finances stay the same way, and we have to make an adjustment for minimum wage going up in January of the next year's budget, there's a possibility that before the end of the year we may have to make some cuts to our current budget to be able to.
Absolutely, and I can tell you for the 25 budget, I know we budgeted based on using cash reserves to fund most of our over expenditures. So we are trending at this moment in time to spend more than what we're getting in on an annual basis. Now, we have been very blessed with getting a lot of federal funding, like the ARPA funds, which have already been allocated and will soon run out. So that is all things we're taking into consideration as we move into the 2026 budget frame.
Thank you.
Well, all right, I ask, we are requesting that you approve the final audit, and we will get it uploaded to the website afterwards.
Motion.
Make a motion that we approve the independent audit for the 12/31/2024.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Amber mentioned early on that the I'll call the merger of the auditing firm, brought in new eyes. It's pretty important. You know, our bookkeepers, what I'm calling bookkeepers, and our auditors may have a very clear mental idea of what is appropriate for this account and all that. But another set of eyes may say, no, that's changed. That's improper. Now, that hadn't been found, but it's possible. So you need all those different eyes with different experiences looking at your books to find any discrepancies at all. So I'm glad that they've had those extra eyes on there. Okay, any other questions, comments?
I did in fact want to point out, one of the people that came down to do the single audit testing on site was one of the new partners of the firm,
Good.
not a staff member.
All right.
So I thought that was pretty important.
Very nice. Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, permission to apply for a grant. Bridget, you want anything to say about this? Or?
Well, it's for the, as you can see, the Flat River Road Sidewalk Project. This is the match money if we get approved for the TAP grant of what we would have to pay out. So this is another grant that we can apply for to hopefully help us with the cost of that.
Okay. Motion?
I make a motion, we give permission to apply for the grant for the Flat River Sidewalk Project Phase 1.
Second.
I'll second.
Any questions, Louis?
So the $1 million, that's the amount that we have to provide?
No, that's for the grant.
That's what we're
That's
applying.
total amount. So how much would we have to match, Bridget?
Bridget, what are we thinking, about 20%?
Of that, yeah, I would say that we probably are going to apply and say that we're gonna have 20% match off that.
So
We can ask for the whole amount. It's not a matching grant, but we get more points if we match, so.
The
we
grant
can match
total,
about-
wasn't the grant total 2 million?
No, that's the total of what
Okay.
we're needing.
Right.
So, we can ask for that whole amount, but we'll get more points if we match some of it, which I was thinking about 20%.
what does points mean?
That's how grants are usually awarded. Each section has so many points that they're worth, and that would be more points in that section if we match money instead of asking for all of it.
So if we match $200,000, we're guaranteed to get this?
No, but we get more points.
But
But if we don't get the grant, we don't spend the 200,000.
Right. So what that means is, the better points we get, the better chance there is of getting a grant. And if we have to where we can match, $200,000 to match this, it's just better for us to, more opportunity to get that.
And where do you propose the 200,000 is coming from?
That is, right.
I believe it'll be coming out of Road and Bridge.
Well, exactly, yeah. Sorry, Jason.
We've not,
For
Louis,
TAC
we've got
grant.
a number of grants we go for,
Yes.
and that create match money. And when you don't have enough, the more points you have, the more you collect. That's why we work with individuals, businesses, to go in with paperwork for
Sure.
People coming in and out of stores. There's a lot more involved in this than just putting numbers up there.
Sure.
Traffic reports, we go to the state, we get traffic incidents, counters, we've got counters working. There's a number of things that you build up to, and it all totals up to points. And the less match money you go for, the more apt you get the grant.
The less match money?
Well, just, the less you go for, I mean, if you can do, the better you are.
But I just wanted to point out that
Yes.
$200,000 is coming out of his budget, possibly.
Yes.
It's possible, yes.
Possibly.
Yeah.
He's saying no.
Well, that's what he's saying right now.
What is the projected cost of the Flat River Sidewalk project?
Total projected cost when we first started was around 6 million. It's down to 3 now.
Is that,
Isn't that right, Bridget?
I think so.
Right around 3.
I don't have the Leadington
Yeah.
portion. in front of
is
me.
that,
4.6 miles.
but has, the area or what goes into the grant, has that been lessened to reduce the cost? or-
Well, right now, the projected part we're working on right now is getting from Farmington to the Mac entrance.
Mhm.
And that basically is that cost, close to that cost right there.
So what would, this is in addition to the TAP grant?
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Yeah.
What
And this
we're
is
trying
for
to
the
do is
county,
get
yeah.
enough to maybe match it where we can get the whole project.
Because this is the county's portion and Park Hill's portion of that road. Leadington did their own TAP grant. for
Yeah,
their
Leadington
portion.
has their own tap, and they did a very good job over there.
Have they received, when do we find out?
We
about
will
the
not
TAP grant?
know probably for another,
The application
Yeah.
is due the 11th of July,
Oh,
so
Yeah.
This
it'll
week.
be a couple months.
it'll be a couple months before we know. And we're constantly working, like Bridget said, with other grants, information, state road counters, ask what they ask for, how many vehicles on the road, how many accidents, how many businesses in and out traffic. That's what we're working on now. So it's not just you apply.
Yeah.
You gotta get out there and hustle it.
The sidewalk you're talking about here, is that projected to be asphalt, concrete?
Concrete.
Concrete.
Concrete with curb, it'll be a curb, stormwater. It would be actually on, if you were driving from Farmington to Mac, it would be on the, I guess, east side.
Yeah.
Which would be, the right-hand side. And it would be curved, it'd have a buffer, grass buffer, curb, stormwater, and then I think an 6-foot sidewalk. Concrete. I would love to go with asphalt, we could probably do it, but I think with the federal, with the grant monies, you have to have concrete.
They require concrete, they require certain width.
Yeah.
We could actually, probably to do the project cheaper another way, but you're not allowed to do that. You have to follow the guidelines.
Are they ADA compliant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, they-
all's ADA compliant. And I want to appreciate, Bridget worked pretty hard on it. So it's time consuming, Dan.
I've been on this a while now.
Well, I hope we get this done. Yeah.
If we get somebody to do the whole thing and pay for it, we give them naming rights.
There you go.
Did I get motion on this?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now this is the resolution for that grant. And this just promises that we will pay our part of that if we do get the grant. So, motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution for the grant, which would be, Flat River Road Sidewalk Project. It's a regional authority grant.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, now this is interesting. Notice the prices there, terrorism is an additional $400-something. How do you get terrorism involved with an earthquake? Trying to figure that one out. So, I think we don't need the terrorism coverage on that. But that's the way it was quoted to us. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Vantage earthquake policy for $23,900 without terrorism. That'd be the annual premium.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions?
My question would be, what did the terrorism,
That's the way the quote came through, yeah. I
what does
don't-
it cover?
The part that we're not taking up, earthquake that was caused by an act of terrorism.
That's
Okay.
gonna be
We
interesting.
can't figure out how they could do it. I guess there's a way, but we can self-insure for that part.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? So we're gonna choose to go without the terrorism coverage. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Sales tax report. We have leveled off. This is the first time in a few months that we haven't had a slight downturn. So it's, I think, turning the trend a little bit. So it's up a little bit. Now, property is up significantly again. So that's a trend that we see. So we're looking pretty good on that. Yes, okay. No commission meeting tomorrow, but we will be back on regular schedule the weeks after that, the rest of July. Okay, other business, correspondence. Public comments. Departmental reports. Sheriff.
Since we didn't have a meeting last week, I'm gonna give you a 2-week total. And I said we'd probably be over 10,000 calls for service, which we are. We're at 10,596 for the year. And in that 2-week time period, we answered 887 calls. So, right around 440 per week. Our average inmate population stands at 129, 110 males, 19 females. I want to commend our deputies and staff over the holiday weekend. Our reporting period for that is Thursday, July 3rd at 3 p.m. and goes till Sunday, July 6th at midnight. We responded to, that's about an 81-hour period of time. We responded to 260 calls during that time, roughly a little over 3 calls per hour. So it was a pretty busy weekend or holiday for us. Unfortunately, we did have 2 fatality accidents in the county, one involving both single vehicle accidents, one involving a motorcycle and one involving a truck. I believe that was on Highway Y, was one of them. The other one was Cedar Falls. I think it may have caused some damage to the guardrail.
Yeah, I ain't been out there, and it's just, was that the crossover or why?
I don't have a cross street. I didn't put it on here.
Okay.
We did have several ATV and side-by-side accidents at the lake developments where people were, there were some serious injuries. So, like I said, it was quite a busy holiday for us. Some things that we've completed, our RSAT room renovation is complete. I'll have probably some pictures for the next meeting. And that is our residential substance abuse treatment room, where they'll hold church, they'll have trainings, GED trainings, things like that to stop the recidivism of inmates coming back in. This should be no cost to the county or to the citizens. We're, with that RSAT grant, we're able to ask for restitution or reimbursement, not restitution, reimbursement for that. So no cost at all, but it turned out very nice. It was a area that we were not using in the jail at all. Also Friday is our biggest fundraiser for Shop with a Cop. We have our golf tournament, so you golfers, hope to see you out there. And that's it.
What about Shop with a Cop? When's that gonna be?
That's
December.
in December.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the exact date of that. I don't have that with me, but yeah, it's in
All right.
December. Right.
Okay. Any questions for the sheriff?
Where is your golf tournament?
It'll be out at, well, Eagle Lake or
Crown Point.
Crown Point. Yeah, it's changed names, and I still go with the old name, but yeah.
And when?
It'll be Friday.
9 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock's TO.
But if you want to get there early, come at 9. You'll get good parking.
Okay, anybody else got a question for the sheriff?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, Road Bridge.
Well, we're still making our way through replacing culverts for the overlays. We're on Westover today. The lights at Vanco and Smith, and we'll be done with those in preparation for the overlays. And then just trying to keep up with the mowing. People scheduling vacations around the holidays. I think we had 7 guys off this morning. So we're working with a light crew.
Any
Yeah, a
questions?
quick question for you. Somebody called me about this. If county road and the entrance to that county road is obstructed by limbs off private property, do we have the authority to trim those to?
So we do cut back to the fence line,
To the, or
Or
to the
15
or
property?
to the right of way line.
Right.
Or 15 feet or?
Well, it just depends, that area. So I mean, if there's a fence row, we'll cut back to the fence row, but we won't extend past the fence row.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards.
So if there's low lying limbs, we'll trim those off to a certain height, stuff like that.
I got a question for you on DD, DD 00 to Kaufman. Is that on schedule?
Tillman? Yeah, Tillman and Wesley Chapel.
Tillman's parallel double O.
DD.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we're
it
doing,
would
yeah,
be-
we're doing DD from 00
Yeah.
to Tillman.
Yeah, and there's what, is there one culvert there or 2?
There's like 4 box
Yeah,
culverts
yeah.
where we're not replacing.
Okay.
Any other questions, Road and Bridge? Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay, any other departmental reports? Maintenance department's got the new floor in at the morgue and the autopsy suite. Looks good out there, got the lights up. We have received the $217,000 grant for the solar array atop the Weber Road facility. And, we've got some repair work we need to do to that roof, so we'll take this chance to do that and get it all done at the same time. There will be a meter put on the solar array, and basically that measures the credit we'll get off our electric bill out there for the amount of electricity we're putting into the Farmington system. So there will be some income on this. Okay, any questions?
Is that the total cost of your solar program?
Yes.
Bridget, you know?
Yeah,
Yes,
it
yes,
is.
yeah. Yeah, it won't be any extra cost, but now we may have to cost on the roof repairs, but that needs to be done anyway, so. Okay, any other questions? Motion,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.